Hey everyone, you're currently the first entry to my depression diaries. Every week I'm going to release one of these that will have a different topic. You all need a little bit of help, and I'm not old, I'm 17 and I do have some experience. I'm going to use this as a space where I'm going to talk about all my problems so you guys can relate and know that you're not alone if you feel these type of ways. Episode 1. Anxiety. Anxiety is a tricky one for me because over my life I've had so many kinds of anxiety. I would say I had the OCD type of anxiety that if I didn't click a light so many times then my house could get broken into, or I had the anxiety of health anxiety or growing up anxiety, like just different anxieties. But I would definitely say, and I think a lot of teenagers that are around 17-18 will relate to this, over the last month or so it's rushed on me really fast. It's really weird. I am so paranoid about growing up and I'm so anxious about growing up. And what I mean is that last night I was literally in my bed crying because I thought there is going to be a day where it's going to be the last day I will wake up in my bed. There'll be a last day that I come home to this house. There'll be a last day when I say hello to my dogs in the morning. There'll be a last day that I speak to my mum and dad and my brother. So I think I struggle with that a lot, and I do get very emotional. Like as soon as I think about anything like that, I turn into an emotional wreck. And last night I was bawling my eyes out at 11 o'clock at night because it does get to me. Like my family are literally my rock. Like as much as we may argue like every other family, like my family are literally my rock. I think it's just been so scary because I don't know what it is about being 17. Like it's just such an awkward number because you're not a child no more, but you're not considered an adult. So it's like, where do you fit in? Because I'm going to college, but also I don't feel like a child no more. And I think it's quite hard to like accept this new version of yourself, because I wish now, and I think it's more about regretting, because for example when my parents said to me when I was younger, just please take the most out of your childhood, like you'll regret it when you're older, because trust me, when you become older it's not fun. Like, and honestly I didn't believe it. I thought that's the thing every adult says, but now that I'm 17 and I know I'm only 17, I've got my whole life ahead of me, but well, hopefully touch word, I don't want to jinx it, but also knowing back and thinking like I wish I took like more appreciation to when I was younger, and before I had all my anxiety and before I had my autism diagnosis and before secondary school. Basically, like I just wish I took the most out of it, because the generations change and the children in this day and age are not the same as when I was in primary school. They're not the same at all, and I think we're basically the last year that had that, which I'm grateful for, but also it's bittersweet because I know realistically we're never getting anything. Like you're never getting your childhood back, and you're never getting just the simple things. Like for example, when I was younger, my mum would get my uniform out for me already prepped, folded on the sofa, ready for me to get dressed. She'd make breakfast for me every day. She would get my bag packed for me and my lunch made. And it's like there was one last day where she done that and I didn't even clock it. I didn't even realise, like she'll never do that again for me. Or she might, but it a rare occasion, but it will never ever be the same. Or like when you're in primary school and you had no worries and you just went in there, done some maths and English and done a little fun like netball PE thing. Like life back then was not serious, and I do regret, and I wish, like I don't know what it's called, but I just constantly, it goes around in my head like, oh, I wish I would have done more. And it kind of, it pisses me off, kind of, it makes me like frustrated, because now I know that I didn't waste my life. Not gonna lie, I'm not saying I wasted my life, but also I sit there and I do think like I have practically not took the full advantage that I should have done, and I'm never getting that back. And I think also anxiety is very scary because it's literally you against yourself. Like imagine your brain split in two, and one side of your brain is like saying, oh my god, what if they stare at you? What are they saying about you? Oh, that's so bad. Why are you speaking like that? What are they talking about? Are they laughing at you? And then this side of your brain is trying to see like they're not laughing about you, they're just laughing in their normal conversation. You're doing fine, you're walking fine, do not worry. So it's like it's a constant battle, and 9 times out of 10 my anxiety wins, especially in the last 2 years, between 16 and 17, or like 1 year, whatever. Found the physical effects it's having to my body. For example, when I do get anxiety now, I get the stomach cramps, I get excruciating stabbing pains in my stomach, and then I get the red rosy cheeks, I get the anxiety rash on my neck, and those things I never used to get when I was younger, when I had anxiety. So it's definitely the effects now. And then when your stomach is cramping, that's when you know it's bad, and you need to calm yourself down. And I think it's more hard as well because I'm scared for the future. I am very scared of the future, and I've never spoke about this on social media or anything, but I am completely and utterly fucking terrified for my future. And it's not because I don't think I'll be successful, it's what if I'm not successful? What if I don't have any income? If I can't afford my rent? What if I can't have food? What if I don't have enough food to feed my children? What if I can't have children because I don't want to bring them into this world? Like, there are so many different things. I think it's just the little things like, what will I do when one day my mum and dad are not here and I need to ask them a question, I need advice? What am I going to do? And I get myself so wound up, and so I get myself into such a fucking state over a situation that isn't even happening. And I dwell on it. I do dwell on it over and over and over again. And it's just the simple things with anxiety, like before you walk into a room or you walk into a classroom, what can I say? Oh my god, like over and over and over the conversation over, oh, all right, I'm going to go in, say hi, and then when you're ordering food and you have to get someone to order it for you, because like I feel so embarrassed when I have to do that. It's unreal, because there's been like a few of my friends have been like, absolutely, like no fucking worries whatsoever. But then there has also been people that just look a bit like, you can't order your own food, like the fuck. Dislike my whole appearance, and I'll just be depressed for my whole life, and I do not want that. I do not want that for myself at all. I want to be happy. I want to have a good flowing income. I want to have no worries, right? Because I just, for some reason, I know money isn't everything, but also in this day and age, money is basically fucking everything. If you don't have a good amount of income each month, you're fucked, basically. Another one of my anxieties has recently really fucking started. It's health anxiety. And when I speak about this, I am going to try and say it without any disrespect whatsoever. I, for some reason, am super paranoid about cancer. Now, what I mean by this, and please let me explain, I will constantly check my body for lumps, and I will constantly be grabbing at my neck, feeling my neck, seeing if there's a lump there, or I'll be feeling all around my body to the point where my body's actually bruised because I'm feeling so much, I'm feeling so hard to see if I've got a bump. And I think it's just a fear of death. Like, I am so scared of maybe one day not being here no more, what will happen after death. Like, it's just such a mind-boggling situation with anxiety that it is so hard to deal with as well, because you have no answers, no one knows. There's all these little, oh, you come back, you reincarnate, or you come back as a spirit, or you don't actually die. Like, it is just such a whirlwind, and especially if you're such an overthinker, that is such a fucking, like, what the fuck. It makes your brain go. I'm just a very anxious person as it is. I'm very bloody anxious, like stupidly amount of anxious. And like, it's the little things, like I have to make sure every single time I pass the door I check it's locked, because if not, I get anxiety if I don't check it. And I think it's the same when I think my anxiety with my OCD started when I was in year 7. So what I would do, and it was terrible, absolutely terrible at this stage, so I would check the plugs 50 times each way. I'd go 50 times, and then my window, each windowsill I would check was locked 50 times. And if I missed one of the locks, and if I miscounted, I had to start again and again and again, and my mum had to stand and watch me. I could not do it if she was not stood there. So every single time I'd mess up, it was the most frustrating thing ever. And then also another thing I would do on top of that, and I developed it, God knows where from, I would write a list, and I still actually do this now. Every single night before I sleep, I have to write a list on my notes app and have it as my lock screen. And it could be the simplest things, like wake up at 6 a.m. Like, but it just like calms my brain. Like, if I don't write wake up at 6 a.m, I think in my head, shit, I haven't wrote this, that means I'm going to sleep for all my alarms. And then if I do write it, that means I'm covered, I'm going to wake up. Like, do you get what I mean? My mind, and if you don't suffer with anxiety, you're probably going to be thinking, what the fuck is she going on about? But it is such a weird and hard thing to explain to people. Like, oh yeah, sorry, my neck is imprinted with raw ink because I decided to write my list all over my hand. That is what I done. I wrote it all down on a notepad, but that was not enough for my anxiety. I decided to print my whole list all over my hand, and my bed sheet, because it was just a white normal sheet, would have imprints of my lists every single night. And it was getting to the point my mum was actually worried about me getting ink poisoning, because I was doing it so often, every single fucking night. And I do, like, anxiety is a very lonely thing, especially when you suffer by yourself and you, like, sort of suffer with an anxiety that isn't often. Because I know, like, health anxiety, OCD, and they're kind of the more known anxieties, but there's a lot of anxieties that people will not understand if they don't suffer with it. Like, for example, and you can laugh at this, I don't mind, you can completely laugh at this, but when it was like a random night, like 2 weeks ago, and I was in my bed, and I do think this comes from the fact of me being alone, because I have felt alone throughout my whole life, basically. Like, I've had people around me, like my family, I love them to bits, but I've always just felt alone. So I think this does come from a place. So I was just led in bed, and you know when it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, you've got no distractions, your thoughts get to you. So I was led in bed, and I was thinking, what if I die? This is going to sound funny. And then I come back as a cow about to get slaughtered. And I know that will sound funny, but seriously, it got to me, right? Because I was thinking, what if I go through all this pain living now, and then I die, and then I come back as a poor animal? And I think it's something to do with my autism, because I have a lot of sense towards animals. I fucking love animals, right? And I feel like I'm the special one. I'm the special one chosen for animals. You get me? So I think it's got something to do with that. And I was thinking, what if I actually do come back as a cow, and then I have to wait, and I'm all rammed in this thing and get, like, abused and slaughtered? And that's what I mean. My mind is literally fucked. And then I started crying because I was scared. Like, it is such a scary thing to deal with, and that is why I made this, because I want you guys to know that no matter how weird or abnormal your anxiety is, or what you get anxiety over, just always know it's normal to you. Your anxiety is normal to you. It doesn't have to match anyone else's anxiety. If someone looks at you and goes, what the fuck, like, that's fine. Your brain is not their brain. They're not going to understand you, and if they do, amazing, you found your person. But please always know that your other half, your brain, is just trying to get your good side. And anxiety is not a nice thing at all, but if you stay brave and you breathe through it, and you remember that you are strong enough to get through it, you'll get through anything you put your mind to. And I love you all to bits, and you are all doing amazing.